Excellent. Welcome. If you weren't sure what session we're running today, it's the financial services and insurance impact with AI. So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining us on this lovely Wednesday morning. Well, Wednesday morning on this time zone. I'm not sure what time zone you're in, so it could be an afternoon or very early. Welcome, and let me introduce you to the team. So let's go in order on the slides. So Nicola, do you want to introduce yourself? Nicola?
Yes, my name is Nicola, and I lead the AI go-to-market for Google Cloud Sweden.
Excellent.
Yes.
Great, and then I'll do a quick one. So I'm Pablo Sava, based here in the UK. I'm head of AI and innovation in the UK, and I have a wider role of customer success on the Google Workspace for Devoteam. And go ahead, Kais.
Thank you. My name is Kais. I'm the head of machine learning here in Belgium for Devoteam G Cloud. So I will come in a little bit later in the presentation.
Good, and I'm just going to make sure you've got presenter mode, Nicola, and I'm going to hand over things to you. So are you able to control Nicola?
I don't think I have control.
All right, let me just grab you for a second.
I'm not I'm meeting host, but I'm not co-presenter.
Yeah, you are now. There we go. I've given you the power. This is the great thing about a live session. You get all those.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you can skip over the agenda and get straight into the nitty-gritty if you like.
All right. Brilliant. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a bit about just a very short introduction to Agentspace, and then Pablo is going to go into more the nitty-gritty, the details and the demo. And I'm just also going to mention a couple of very interesting use cases for Agentspace when it comes to the FSI industry. So before we jump into the use cases, let's just look at Agentspace as a whole and why we created it and what it actually is. So number one, we looked at the IT landscape today and realized that all of the platforms that we've been sort of, the SaaS services that we've been collecting for ages, like Pokemon, they're all very, very, useful in their own ways, but they're all very sort of disconnected. We can become very, very siloed very quickly, and this has become a huge issue, and it's still an issue for many companies. On top of that, new technologies coming out constantly. Now we are in this age of LLMs and agents and automatic workflows, and it all adds to the complexity. And we had this thought of, if you could easily apply AI, chat, and agents across the entire enterprise on a single platform and gain value for every single employee in every single department and in every single team for their own individual use. So a single platform, but for a very, very, very single person use. That's very, very broad. And that's where we sort of came up with Agentspace. This is a place where we can seamlessly search, chat, and use our agents. And agents is probably a word that you've heard 50 times since you woke up this morning. And with Google, we're no different. And we know and understand the value of agents. And we understand that a problem that will arise in a few sort of years' time is that we'll have a lot of agents and know where to publish them and know where to manage them. And this is where Agentspace comes in. And Pablo will go through the details of Agentspace and how it works, but let me just give you a couple of use cases for Agentspace as a whole, so the umbrella use cases. So we have 3 of them, number one. So the first one there is the find, and this is where Google sort of pedicure comes in. So Google is synonymous with search, and we are the company that does search the best. And we have integrated a lot of that technology within Agentspace. So number one, you will finally be able to find the documents that you want to find, right? And this is no matter if you're using the Microsoft ecosystem, SharePoint, OneDrive, or if you're using Google, if you're using Jira and Slack, or whatever it might be. As you can see, let me see if I can get a pointer up. I don't know if I can. But as you can see on the bottom section there, it's spread across the entire enterprise. right? So you can connect your SharePoint, your Slack, your Jira, Confluence, all of the Google systems, right, and all of the Microsoft stack there, and you can search and find the information across that. Thank you. And it's also built upon GCP, so it's this mega secure, very scalable solution that's trusted by millions. The second bit there is the understand part, and this is where we can actually start to actually asking follow-up questions. So when you search for something and you search and get results across the entire enterprise, so blended search across the enterprise and Google search, by the way, you can then start to synthesizing that to actually building things upon that. And one big use case that I found as a person at Google, for instance, is that when we do whatever event it might be, or if I'm, for instance, having a meeting with a customer together with one of my executives, we always do an executive briefing document for this person, because our director might know who a company is or who a customer is, but they don't know my recent conversations and my recent meetings and whatever engagement I might have with that customer. I upload this template, this executive briefing document, into Agentspace and just write, I'm meeting the customer with this executive, fill in the blanks with what you know. And it's going to take, synthesize information from my emails, from my meetings, create a timeline. Any documents that I've made and shared with this customer is going to be put into this document, and it's absolutely fantastic. And then we have the act part, and the act part is actually the big part here, and that's why it's actually called Agentspace. It's the space for our agents. It's where we publish our agents, and this is where we're going to go from this spectrum to high code agents that we will be able to build from a framework called Agent Development Kit that Google has open sourced. And you'll be able to publish high code Python agents to Agentspace, but also no code agents, which we'll go into it more. So when it comes to sort of value for FSI industry customers, we usually look at maybe, let's say these three big ones, right? So banking, capital markets, and insurance. And we look at sort of the day one value, early weeks value, and then moving on from there. The immediate value, I think, on all across the board here is that shadow IT, when it comes to LLMs, is completely evaporated. Agentspace becomes your de facto go-to place when it comes to agents. You will, when it comes to LLMs. So this is the place where everybody asks their LLM questions, refactors data, rewrites text, and all of these types of things. When it comes to actually banking and capital markets, for instance, I have a customer in Sweden, one of the bigger banks here, that tells me that for every 1 day that they spend in customer meetings, they spend 3 days in research. And I think that this is very, very common across the board for many companies, but especially companies within the banking industry. Other than that, you have regular know your customer scenarios where you actually want to find information about a customer. Let's say that you're a loan officer and you want to find information about a specific company that you want to give a loan to, or a specific person that you want to give a loan to. That you can also use here. When it comes to research, again, within the financial industry, if you're like an asset manager, you want to research a company that you're investing into, you want to research an industry, whatever it might be, you can do that. When it comes to insurance, for instance, transcription is one thing as well on all of these across the board. So let's say that you're transcribing a call together with a customer, then Agentspace can absolutely be fantastic for that. So you have all of these types of use cases specifically for the industry of banking. How am I doing on time, Pablo?
Good.
Good
Yeah.
so far. Let's see. Let's go to the next slide. So I've sort of refactored this here a bit. So these are the main 3 big areas when I usually talk to my, let's say, banking or site customers. So research, advisory, and automation. And advisory is also a very, very big one. Let's say that you have an agent that you create in the company that is mainly used for, let's say, regulatory and compliance data. And you as an individual can find that information directly or you can upload a document and say, how compliant is this text that I've written within this document? Is this accurate? And you can do whatever you want with this. And if you don't want, as a company, to say that, all right, we're not going to trust the LLM completely to give us, a check if something is compliant or not, we are going to make this regulatory advisor agent mainly used for search. So you can say the output, the form factor of the output can be, instead of just like giving you a text and say how, like giving you a text that you can add to a document, you can say, I only want this to search. And to go and search like an EU regulatory document, give you the right paragraph so that you, as the human, can go into that document, read it for yourself and say, yes, this is the one. So it's all on this level of how much, still, because when you're a person working with, like, let's say regulatory questions, for instance, the buck stops with you, right? So that might be an issue where you would rather much more want to have just a search instead of a thing that creates something. And then we talked about research, but we also talked about, let's say, automation. Pablo, you have a pretty good document where you'll show how you as an insurance company can use Agentspace for this.
Yeah, we're going. I can take them through the demo. So thank you very much for that high level, because it really does paint the picture for what we're going to show now, which is really good. So let's do that. Is that our next stage? Can I?
Yes, I have a couple of like 1 or 2 slides as well about this agent designer that you can make. So I think that this is one of the big things as well, because we as individuals will also be able to create our own agents, because I think that creating agents for myself that helps me maybe 10 minutes a week will never be something that the entire company will help me create. But this is also integrated into Agentspace. You never go into some place else. It's all in Agentspace. You can publish it. You can share it with your customers, or your teams, or your colleagues. That's it from me. I'm going to stop talking now.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Yeah, this is really good grounding, and actually, what you're showing on screen here is very soon to be deployed as well. I'm very excited for this. This is a bit more of the Lego block agent to agent kind of process flow, which is going to be super exciting. Yeah. You're going to see in the demo, you're going to see where that fits in really nicely as well, for sure. Great. I think I'm going to skip over here to my screen so I can show you a demo. Yeah, it's demo time. There you go. See. Slide says so I'm going to do it. Just while I get my screen over, quick question to who has used Agentspace before? Thumbs up if you've used Agentspace. Very curious to see. We have. Oh, you don't count. You're a Googler. If you didn't use that, I'd be worried. Ronan, yeah, Ronan. Okay, good. So there is a few, but not that many. And then another thumbs up for who has used Google Gemini. So not necessarily Agentspace, but Google Gemini. Oh, there's loads. Good. I'm glad. We're not starting from scratch, which is really important, because it's good to have a bit of background here. So if you've used the Gemini services from Google, you will recognize a prompt box maybe, but that's all that's similar here. So I'm going to show you our demo environment from Devoteam and how it's set up. We actually have loads of connectors here. So I'm just going to show you the connectors here. Nice big list of them. We've put Google Search, Calendar, Confluence. We've got our own website. So if you're like a retailer, if you're an insurance company that has offers for insurance policies for businesses or for people for cars, for example, you can put your website there when it's updated. Agentspace can use that as a grounding for your prompt. Google Drive or SharePoint you can put in there. There's a few others, Jira, and there's some custom ones we've made as well, Slack and people. So when I prompt something in here, unlike your vanilla AI, it's going to actually use the data that you have access to. This is really, really important. Before I even start typing a prompt, whatever I type in here, so if I said, show me Kais's pay slip, for example, I'm not going to see that. As much as I want to, Kais, I'd love to see how much you get paid, but no, I'm not going to be able to see that, because I, the prompter, do not have access to those files, even if they did live somewhere in our business, because I don't have ACLs, as they call them, ACLs, shared rights to see that file. Neither does my prompt in Agentspace. So that's really important. I can only see what I have been provided access to. Okay, and that goes for all of the services you connect, unless otherwise stated. So that's with the SharePoint and or anything else that you connect as well, which actually makes it super easy for users. If you think about it, I don't have to think about if I have access, where that file is, what service that content is in. Forget all of that, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes internal businesses are really messy. Now I can just ask where that content is, and so what I'm going to do here is I could ask for all of the insurance claims that I have. I actually did this earlier. Let me just double check here. Oops. No, okay, let me go back. So what I'm going to do here is I could say if I had access to like a shared space where all my insurance claims went into, I can say, show me all the insurance claims that got submitted today. I don't work in an insurance company. I didn't submit any today, so I'm just going to upload one of them. But I could ask it to go and find it in my shared drive or even in my mail. Is there an email with a new insurance claim? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload it just for speed's sake. So it's from my own computer. So if I do this one here, now I'm going to show you what this looks like on another screen real quick, because it doesn't actually show you on here. So let me share. Oh, how do I share this screen? Bear with me. I'm going to have to do the old-fashioned way. So present something else. Here we go. So that file I just uploaded is this. It's a handwritten insurance claim, a European insurance claim. I actually have lots of them in here. Thumbs up if you've seen one of these before. I did a bit of research, and actually they're quite common. No one's seen them before? Okay. So they are commonly, okay, there is a few people that have seen them before. Okay, good. Because as a UK person, I'd never seen one of these before. So you have to collaborate with whoever you've had a car crash with, and then have both signatures at the bottom there. And you've got a drawing of what the incident that's happened. And actually, I've got a whole shared area of all of these handwritten insurance claims. They're all different accordingly. So this one's got a different picture. Oops, there we go. There's another one here with a different picture as well, which is great. So I've just uploaded this image. So let's go back to sharing this tab. And then what I'm going to do in here, and forgive me, my spelling is terrible, especially when it's live. So I'm going to paste some prompts in here just so it's not embarrassing for me. So can you please review the insurance claim and tell me what happened in the incident? Now, this is a French insurance claim. My French is terrible. I did it for GCSEs back in school, but I do not understand or cannot read a word of French. So I'm going to ask AI not only to tell me what's happened in there, so read the scribbly notes that was probably written on the side of the road, understand the drawing that's in there, and tell me in English. I don't know about you, but if someone gave me this French insurance claim form, I would have to digest the scribbles that are in a different language and then translate that. Now I can do this in seconds. It's going to understand that insurance claim form. It's going to get the context of what happened, and it's going to describe it. So here you go. Right, ready for a jaw drop moment. I want to see jaws drop emoji or shocked emoji if you didn't think this was going to happen and it worked. So we've got a driver here. It tells us who is the driver, what the vehicle is, the model. So this was all handwritten in French, and I can see that the damage has been listed in here as well, how the accident happened. So it's a brief explanation here, and then the driver statements, which is really nice. Now I'm going to go one extra. Now I forgot to add the caveat before I did the demo, which I nearly always do. AI is an interesting beast to demo because it never necessarily does the same thing twice. So please, if this doesn't come out well, I'll try again, but I'm going to try something here. This is a live demo, and I can see the other Devoteamers sweat here because I'm going off piste a little sometimes. I'm actually going to ask it to draw the incident. So can you describe in detail, so first I need to get the description of what happened. So describe in detail the drawing. So what did they draw and what happened in the drawing part of that insurance claim? While it's doing that, I'm just going to show you that insurance claim again so you can see it. That's this one here. I'm asking it to explain what happened in this drawing down here, okay? Now, if I go back, it has an overview of the scene, so it's labeled. It has part of the sketch is multi-lane road traffic. There's a bus, or bus lane, sorry, there we go. And it has vehicle A labeled, and it tells me where the vehicle A is labeled. And it has understood the context of the drawing, not the text. So it's actually had to visualize and understand the drawing that happened. Now I'm going to go one better. Now, this is the one I think doesn't always come out, so please bear with me. But I think it's absolutely marvelous how it does. So I'm a visual learner, and I struggle with text. So I'm going to say, can you review the drawing from the form and the description you just gave and provide and create a 3D image model of what happened, representing what happened in that scene? Now, we've got image generator, we've got video. I did try the video for this, but it's a little bit too much to do. But you could try and generate a video of the incident. Actually, what I realized is that there's not enough description. There you go, there's a BMW, so it's a black BMW and a red Renault, and it's got the bus lane and it's got the collision that's been drawn out. So now we have a visual representation of what kind of happened there. I think this is fascinating. You can see that the details from a handwritten insurance claim has been used to generate an image of what has happened here. Okay, this is fantastic. Now, we're going to go into a little bit more detail here and talk about grounding. So we've got things like Confluence connected, right? So now, maybe I'm new to the job, and actually, I work for this company, this fictitious company called Pink Giraffe Insurance Company. Don't tell me where. Don't ask me where I got the name from. My point here is that our insurance company has a way of processing insurance claims. So I'm going to show you here just really high level what I've got on my internal wiki. This is a Confluence page. You can see it's on Confluence, and there's a Pink Giraffe Insurance space, and it shows our operational way of working for any incident. So we gather witness information. After leaving the scene, we make sure we do things. All of these standards need to be met, and we need to make sure that all the information is gathered from our insurance company. So with this in mind, I'm going to ask for anything that we need to do or find out that's missing according to our procedures. So let's do that in here. I'll say, according to our Pink Giraffe standards of operating procedures for accidents, is there any information that needs to be reviewed or updated from the submitted form? So, reminding you what's going on here. It's looking at the handwritten form. It's translating it from French. It's looking at the different fields that have been filled and the fields that have not been filled in that form. It's going to look at the operating procedure in my Confluence, and then it's going to tell me, according to what says in Confluence, what is missing and what we need to update. That is a lot of process. If you had a person doing all of this, how long would that take? So now we have, you can see here, that's my, if you see that pop up, it's showing me that it's got that information from the Confluence. I didn't tell it where to go. I didn't mention Confluence. I didn't say where it would be. It took its own initiative to index everything I have access to. And it says, there's a page in Confluence that actually is going to help with that. And it's gone through and given me a very clear list of what is missing in those sections. So it looks like there's no alteration after signing, which is great. Information to be reviewed. So the dates of the incident, the specific date is missing. It's just August. There you go. So there's a lot here that actually probably would have taken me some time to review what was missing. And that's taken pretty quickly. So let's go one step further. Okay, we know we need to do some action. We need to do something about this. The form cannot be complete, claim cannot be completed because there's information missing. What do? Let's take the action from here. Let's say, can you please compose an email to Kieran Gallagher detailing the incident and asking him to process the listed missing information so we can get the claim closed. Notice this is clear text, human instructions. I'm not asking it to go to applications. I'm not asking it to anything. Kieran's not expecting it, so he's just reacted with a shocked emoji, but he's getting this email. So because I've asked Agentspace to collect that information, put it into an email, it's now going to go back through the conversation that we've had, collect all the critical bits that Kieran needs to close out this claim. So here we go. I'm not giving it a subject. I'm not giving it anything. So it says action required, missing information for Dunpoint and Schmidt insurance claim. Hey, and it's drafted the entire message for me. It says, okay, here's what Kieran needs to do. Here's the incident summary, the missing information, go and action it, Kieran, and I can send it from here. Sorry, Kieran, I'm gonna Oh, there you go. Best regards, Agentspace. That was a neat little tagline in there. So Kieran, you're going to get that email. I'm sorry, I'm going to flood your inbox by the end of the week with these demos. So we've done that. Okay, good. Right, let's go one step further. We have to record this. By sending it to Kieran, only him and me have visibility of this. Actually, the whole team needs to track this. We need to project manage this. How do we do that? Well, with another simple plain text prompt, can you please create a Jira issue with Kieran as the owner? This could be a ServiceNow, Ticket, whatever it is. With Kieran as the owner of the issue, list it as a high priority with details of what's missing in the claim and create it on our TSS board, customer success board. So I'll do that. Again, I've not told it any connectors. I've not added the Jira or anything like that. I've just literally given it a plain text request. And it's going to process the same. Like with the email, it's put in a description of the action, it's made it a task, it's made it high priority, and it's assigned it to, notice I didn't put his email address in. It used the people connector to find his email address and assign it to the right person. Now I can assign that ticket straight from here. So we've got lots here in terms of content, in terms of automation. I haven't left this chat at all, right? And I've managed to do all that process. Good. I think I'm going to pause right there. Thumbs up if this is new to you in terms of how you can connect to data with AI, and this is kind of, or an applaud if this is exactly what you expected. And let's see what reactions we get. Okay, all right, this exactly as expected. Oh, I was hoping this was more than expected. I was sad about that. Perfect. So this is just the basic Agentspace. We have different tiers here of how we're using Agentspace. And this is, I would argue this is the level one. And arguably this is more than enough for many businesses to get started in improving the time to process, right? This is actually a huge improvement in how much time it takes to do these things. But we can go next level. Let's go one step further. I know that we've got lots of these claims. I know that, I have to go through 20 of these today or something like that, and I need to review them. So why not go into what's called agents? Now, if I click this area, you'll see this is where the agent part is, and we've got 3 different types of agents. We've got out-of-the-box agents that Google have made. So we've got deep research, so you would have recognized that as a Gemini tool as well. You've got idea generation. I love this one. If you're looking for a new offering for go-to-market that's out of the box, you can say, you know what, I need you to give me 20 ideas or 5 ideas on what new offering we might want to do, and then it will compete with itself. It will spin up multiple AIs and create a tournament to compete with itself and what kind of idea would be good for the business. We've had really good feedback on this one, actually, from a gaming company. Actually, it was really interesting. Notebook LM, we won't go into the details there, but that's another service you can integrate with. And then for your organization is the ADK agents, but I'm not going to steal Kai's thunder because that's his whole section. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. And at the bottom here are your personal, what we call the UI agents, the simple UI agents. Now I can create a UI agent. So thumbs up if you've ever made a Gemini gem. Anyone got a gem? Anyone got a good gem, actually? I'd love to hear any good gems that you've got. Okay, there's a few people. Okay, good. You're gonna have to share me your very good gems. I'm all about the sharing the gems at the moment. So similar to gems, but not the same. I can make an agent in here. So for me, I could make an agent that's a claim reviewer. And I can say review and process all hand-written claims. And then in here, I'll write some instructions. So for example, I've got some instructions here. I'm going to paste, so I'll copy that in, and I'll say just a high level, analyze the form. Your goal is to ensure the claims are complete. Make sure that you meticulously scan the document. Make sure that anything that's illegible is flagged for review, and make sure that all the information based on our policies are included. I'm going to hit the help me write. Anyone who's made a gem knows what this does. Anyone who hasn't will know that it processes what I put in there and makes it into a very clear steps for this gem to follow. And then this is the bit that's special for Agentspace. I can now attach my data sources. Now I could just say select all, if I'm not sure that if there's data that's relevant. So maybe I just say all of it, and it's going to be the same as what we did earlier. But if I know that maybe claims come in by email, and you know what, there's information about claims on Confluence, like I just showed you, and there's some forms on Drive I need you to access, then I can click those too. And you know what, I need to submit a ticket later, so I'll do Jira as well. And you can put a starter prompt like, please provide the claim. That's the starter prompt. Whatever it is. And then I can hit save. Now, very Blue Peter of me, I'm going to go back and say, actually, here's one I made earlier, because I did make a gem earlier. And I gave it a nice picture as well. So if I click the edit button, you'll see I made this in pretty much exactly the same way, but I put an icon in it. And if I want to use that agent now, I just click that here. And it is going to be a task-orientated agent. I have the big difference here is two things. This agent has context of what I'm trying to achieve and connectivity to the specific services I need it to have connectivity to achieve it. So now we're going to reduce that process even further by not having to do extra prompts because it knows what I'm trying to achieve. So in here, I can just select, I'm not even going to give it context. I'm just going to add that same file. Here we go. And then I'm going to hit go. No written words at all. Because remember, it's an agent. It knows what it's trying to achieve. So I can just hit the submit button. Now, hopefully, it reads that, it translates it, it understands what's in there, it gets the details, it takes a little bit longer. And it just comes back to tell me directly what needs to happen. I haven't asked it to translate it. I haven't asked it to do the description. I haven't asked it to do any of those extra prompts. It's going to do all that because it's been told to, and it's going to come back with just the actions, the next steps that needed. In some cases, the next step might just be to write an email. And if that's the case, your agent might just not even give you the information. It just writes the email for you. And submit claim, creates email. That could be the direct output. So here, you'll see that it's done a lot of thinking, a lot of analyzing. And then you'll see it lists the missing information, what the critical information is. And then I'll say, let me just check. Okay, so it's giving me the inconsistency. So now I can just say email this to Kieran. I don't know if it does. I don't know if it's going to need his second name. I didn't try that yet. But I'm being very, very optimistic here. I think so. Yeah, there we go. So now it's just going to have that information straight into an email for Kieran. There you go. He found him, which is perfect. With 2 prompts, I've done I don't know, 12, 16 step process very quickly. Good. I know that I can often go over in my demos, so I need to just double check my time and see how we're doing. But hopefully that gives you an insight to the difference between your normal AI versus Agentspace. So I'll just clarify that really quickly. You've got connectivity with your third-party applications, grounding on information that you have. So you don't have to cipher around Dropbox, Confluence, Jira to find the relevant information. And then surfacing and supporting your process with multimodal 2.5 Gemini with all that great grounding. It's really powerful. I know in Devoteam we use this so much. If you take it away, you'll get a lot, especially sales. Actually, they'll start screaming at you because they can get all the information about their customers very quickly. Good. I'll pause there, and Kais, I'm going to hand over to you if that's okay, and then we might have some time for questions afterwards. So let's get back to the deck.
Thank you. Can you make me a co-presenter as well? I don't think
everyone wants to be co-presenter. Right. I'll
that
find
would be convenient.
Give me a second. No problem. Add co-presenter. There we go. And you know what? I'll let you annotate as well. Go wild, Kai.
Perfect.
The whole thing.
Thank you. All right. So actually, before we dive into that, is there anyone here that knows about ADK or custom agent, how that works, generally speaking, what you can achieve with that kind of approach? Great. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that will not be too strange to you. That's perfect. And the other ones, I hope I will be able to to give you some spark of insights into what we can do with that kind of approach. So we have seen what we can do with some out-of-the-box connectors. The out-of-the-box connectors were the connections to Confluence, to Drive, to Gmail, for example, that is quite easy to set up with Agentspace. Now, as you have seen, Pablo was really the driver. He was in the driver's seat, with no pun intended, and was the one really searching for the right data, asking to synthesize the data. He needed to know what kind of questions to ask still, right? So it's still kind of a reactive approach here. And we want to take this to the next level, not saying, of course, that this is not important. It all depends on the use case at hand. So I would like to start here by analyzing a little bit when to go for a solution that Pablo just showed, or something a little bit more custom, more pro code, that gives you more freedom, but then also more implementation efforts to put in place. So let's start by this. If your goal is to really discover data, to synthesize data, to find out a little bit what you would have spent a lot of time searching for across your different data sources, that's a great first incentive, let's say, to go to with Agentspace and with the out-of-the-box connectors, provided that you have support for your data sources. For example, Drive, Gmail, Calendar, that's the obvious ones, I would say. But you also have Salesforce, SAP, Confluence, as we've seen. So we have a significant set of tools that we can already connect to out of the box. Something that Pablo mentioned at the very beginning is the ACL, so access control list. That's also something that is indeed taken into account automatically by Agentspace. So indeed, he was not able to see my payroll. So that's something that you don't want to worry about. You don't want to handle that. It's complex. Just take the out-of-the-box offering, and you're good to go. So indeed, I'm switching a little bit the use case here. Let's imagine that you are looking for summarizing some latest research on, here it's saying NVIDIA, it could be anything really, about, because you're trying to find out potential risks later on for your client's portfolio, for example, but you want to be the driver, right? So that is a perfectly good example. Now, if you need to do something a little bit more proactive, autonomous, running in the background, perhaps, then that is also a good example of why you would need to go to ADK. Or as I mentioned, you don't have support from the out-of-the-box offering for the data source or the types of actions that you want to perform. We have seen that there are indeed some actions. You can send an email. You can also create a ticket in Jira, for example. But if you want to do something a little bit more broad or complex than this, most likely you will need to set up that action yourself through a custom agent. Also, since at this point it's about being a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more free into what you want to implement. Indeed, if you need to have more complex logic that goes beyond context retrieval of the information across multiple sources, that's also a good sign that you need to go with ADK. So in this example, let's imagine that we want to have, instead of waiting for something bad to happen with our client portfolio, we want an agent to check at all times, 24/7, if there is a risk event that could, in this case, be related to NVIDIA, and that could affect some of our clients. So we want to flag these clients directly. We want to have that update in Salesforce happening directly. And of course, we want to be warned about that. We still want to be in control, but we want to save some time and only focus on what is being flagged and not wait for a problem to happen. Now, basically, this is what we're trying to do with this kind of intelligent agent, right? We have that proactivity gap that I was just trying to refer to previously, which is about finding the right information. Your advisors are probably struggling to monitor all your disconnected data sources. Would it be market feeds, CRMs, even some news articles, news APIs that you can pull information from? So just by the way this is designed, you are actually in a more of a reactive problem-solving paradigm. So you want to be more proactive there. You want an autonomous monitoring, right? Secondly, speaking of that monitoring, to solve that problem, you want to have something, well, something being an agent that's connected to all your sources and does the watching all the time seamlessly. You don't have to worry about it. You don't even have to, I want to say, know about what it's exactly monitoring. Of course, you would know as the product owners, but you don't have to monitor it yourself. You just get the outcomes, the decisions, the data-driven decisions out of it. So indeed, you're going to look from a signal, an event. It's going to flag some things. Of course, you can define your business rules to say what it means for a specific event, what it means when it turns into something that's risky. What does it mean, risky? What do we want to do with that information? How do we want to correlate different events together and in doing so, identify risk? So how do we do that? Finally, we're doing that with ADK. ADK is Agent Development Kit. So it's basically a framework for developers, right? Written in Python here. That allows you to really virtually do anything. I mean, we're going back to the pro code environments. So that means that virtually anything is possible. It's just up to you to define what your procedures are going to be, what your logic is going to be, what do you want to do with the information at the end of the day. So having the out-of-the-box offering that you can still leverage, of course, through ADK is one thing, but being able to build these tools yourself is the next step, is really another thing. And the tools are basically anything. It's a piece of code, right? It's just yes, an action, maybe not the right word here, a capacity, a capability that your agent is able to take advantage of whenever it needs to. So it could indeed be a connection to Salesforce. It could be doing a Google search, for example. It could be anything you need at that point. And what's really nice, by the way, with this framework is that the idea before anything else is that you don't have to redesign all the tools all the time. If you design a tool for a single agent, you could think of having a library on your side with all the tools that you have defined at some point, and you just pick and choose from the ones that are already defined for a new agent that you need to build. So it's also thinking ahead here. It might take a little bit of time to set up the foundations, so to say, but later on it makes it even more so easy to implement because you can always reuse whatever you have built previously. Since it's custom, again, you can just use any logic you want. You can correlate anything you want together. And well, at the end of the day, you are in the driver's seats again to decide what to do in which situation directly. And at the end of that whole flow that you define, you want to perform actions. You want to, and an action could be, again, anything. It could be sending out an email. It could be sending a message in Teams or in Slack. It could be updating a ticket in Jira or in ServiceNow. It really depends on the use case at hand. Here for us, the example is to use Salesforce, right? Remember, we want to look at if there is any risk pertaining to an NVIDIA event that has happened and that would potentially affect our client's holdings. So you want to flag that in your system and then notify someone else that they would need to indeed look at that. So that's really the I would say the power of ADK is basically what you do with it, right? It gives you full control over what your agent would need to do. But so that means that you can indeed move from a research kind of scenario to something that will only let you know when you actually need to take actions and will give you all the necessary context that you need to make an informed decision. If you want to maybe look back at the example that Pablo was saying, this is also something that could be automated running in the background. We've seen at the end of his demo the no-code agent that was built with really all the steps that were automated, and it just needed to send an image. For example, that could also be something that's separated in the background, and you only get an email whenever a new claim comes in and has been processed by that agent, right? So it can also be not that much work compared to what you can do with Agentspace as it is already. It really depends on how you want to interact with it. I would say Agentspace is also necessary if you want to have a user-facing application, and ADK can be brought in Agentspace, yes. Can be also run in the background. Again, it's custom. So I would like to finish this small section on this blueprint slide. So basically, I want to emphasize the fact that we move from a reactive kind of approach to a more proactive one. Okay, so we have our NVIDIA example, flagging exposed client accounts on Salesforce. Great. So what do we do when we want to start? The first step here is really to monitor, as I said, all the different data sources. So that's really the signal that we're looking for. So the ADK agent is going to constantly watch the world for us. Live data feeds, news APIs, even internal research documents in a Confluence page, for example. And it's going to look for a significant risk. What is a significant risk? Well, that could be a sudden stock drop, could be a competitor's breakthrough, could be even negative news, negative regulatory news on the subject. So you get to define that indeed. What does it mean to have a risk? And that is detected in real time or near real time. Now that's really nice to detect that. What do you do with it? That's the next stage. That's the correlate step. And so you have to think like this. Indeed, this is nice to monitor things, to have a notification say, there is something wrong. But that is just noise. You still need to do all the processing, the understanding yourself. The real intelligence comes into play when you have the context, you have the understanding of that context. And so the agent will then move on to that stage and will potentially query your internal systems using a custom tool that you have built to access ADK and find, I don't know, all your clients that have all your clients' accounts that are holding an NVIDIA stock, right? So it would then identify those, correlate with the market event, for example, and will be able to derive from those information who is exposed by that risk and by how much they're exposed. That's really already a quite important next step. But then what do you do with that information? You decide. You make an informed decision, a data-driven decision on who should be the highest priority then. That's where your custom logic comes into play, all your business rules also, and will then be able to define, for example, client portfolio A exposure to NVIDIA is over 20%. So that might classify the risk as really critical. If someone else has an exposure of between, I don't know, 10 and 20%, perhaps it's only high, right? So now the agent is not just showing you the data, it's also giving you some more information about the severity and the necessary response. And it can also then prepare the next stage by drafting. Well, that would be actually the next stage, the action. Could draft a report on the overall context. What happened with that NVIDIA stock? How exposed is your customer based on what information? You could even have links to your sources that actually validate that exposure that you're putting forward. And then it would automatically update Salesforce, would flag that client with the appropriate risk level, critical or high. And finally, it can send the manager, the account manager, the notification via Slack, via Gmail, whatever communication channel you're using, you can connect to. And it could also suggest a mitigation strategy, provided that you have some kind of documentation about it in a Confluence page, for example, to say, okay, if we're noticing this kind of events, how does the company typically want to react? If there is something that is defined, then you can also leverage it. Can also be part of the prompt itself. So these 4 steps are really what defines. I hope you will remember this. It's really simple. Simple view here. Defines what you can do with an ADK. You can see there is not really a lot of text, a lot of definition, because again, I want to insist on that. You do whatever you want. You're going back to a custom development effort. And so I would say before diving into that, yes, there has to be some use case ideation, some clear definition of what are the rules that you need to meet, the metrics that you need to meet to define this as a success. It all comes down to a typical custom implementation work, right? Before we move on to the next step, did I make sense? I would say that's the most important question for me right now. I want to make sure that I was able to convey the message.
You got a thumbs up. We also got some Q&A later, so we need to quickly head on to the change.
So before I give you back the floor, Pablo, for talking about change, I want just to give you a heads up on this. So the idea is that at the end of this session, or a little bit after, might have to be a little bit patient, but it will be today, you will receive an email, an invitation in your mailbox, asking you if you want to have a use case discovery workshop with us to be planned later on. If you're interested to do that, please answer, because it will not be planned automatically. We need to know, of course, if you're interested. And without giving too much away, the idea is to have a 30-minute call with a salesperson and an expert from Agentspace to see what can be tackled really in your business, and if Agentspace is a good fit, if a custom agent approach is a better fit. Basically, check with you what is your problem and how can we help.
Amazing.
And now I'm giving you the floor.
Yeah, I'll be really quick because we've only got a few minutes, but this is really important. What we found is we can't turn this on and leave. So if we let's say you say, great, you know what? Let's get some Agentspace in here. Turn it on in my business, give it to the users, and we're good. It's not going to work. Now, what we've seen is, when do you use Agentspace versus Gemini, if you have that, or versus Copilot, whatever it is. Why do you use Gemini? Like that's not always clear. You don't just give them a new AI tool and say, go and use it. When do you use it? Why do you use it? And so this is really important. What we do isn't just implementation at Devoteam, but we also do the adoption. So part of our implementation for Agentspace is making sure that your security is all, we've had a lot of red tape when we've turned it on before. So we do a security workshop to make sure everyone is happy with how it integrates with the third parties. We configure those integrations, so that Jira connection, that SharePoint connection, whatever you need that be configured. We do the adoption change management, which what I just said actually is really critical. We used to actually have offerings that didn't have the adoption and welcome session and training for Agentspace, and the feedback was that it just wasn't landing. Users didn't know when to use it or why. And then post implementation, we do a bit of more understanding of how it's being used in the business and what the ROI is for those. So the advantage here is if we help you to implement Agentspace from Devoteam's perspective, you end up with a much better adoption rate and a much better ROI for using the tool. So yeah, that's the key takeaway here. After this, we'll follow up with an email if you've registered, offering you guys a discovery session. If you're not really sure where Agentspace fits in your business, because every business is different, then we're more than happy to do a session and do a little bit of a workshop to understand where AI and where Agentspace can help your business as well. Good. We've got literally 2 minutes for questions. So if you do have if you've been bottling up questions this whole time, like, but how did you do that? Or how can I do that? We'll open up the floor for some questions as well. We've got, we've got Google on here, we've got Devoteam on here, we've got a good audience for questions. Any questions? And you can type them if you're voice shy. Don't worry. There's also a Q&A section as well in the Meet if you're familiar with Meet. Anywhere is fine if you want to. No? That means everyone understood that the entire product is raring to go and is actually going to reach out and say, I want 150 of these licenses, get it for me now. I see some nervous laughing. I'm going to email you. Good. Okay, well, thumbs up if you're excited about the prospect of what you've seen AI can do in a business, or even in like a financial business or your business. Is this an exciting next step for your business? Thumbs up if you agree. Yeah, okay, I see some good thumbs up. Good. Well, I'm glad that that's the takeaway. And it's not doom and gloom, which is really important. Excellent. Nicola, anything you want to add? Anyone from? Oh, here we go. We've got some questions coming. Oh, there we go. You know what? I should have waited for them to type. That's my problem. Agentspace is still unavailable in Morocco, for example. Do you have any ideas? So I think the geography part of Agentspace is something that's being worked on. I'm going to let Nicola add any context to that, if you've got any.
I'm sorry, I'm not actually sure about Morocco, and I don't have a timeline on that one.
No, so we've got. So I can probably send it out afterwards as well if you've got.
Yeah.
Who is it that we'll record who asked the question, but we do have a roadmap for some countries. I still don't have a roadmap for others. You'll notice it's where a lot of the GCP data centers are. That's usually where we focus in terms of deployment for the product. If you have a particularly large use case for it or something like that, do reach out. We can try and get some more details if there's an ETA for the country that you're in. But if it's not in the country you're looking for, you can still enable it, but it will be hosted in another country that you would be okay with hosting it into. Okay, so that's very important. That's good. Looking forward to our start of our journey in Devoteam. I'm very excited about that. Good. I'm looking forward to what we can help with for sure, Anders. So we use other agents here specifically for some project management use cases, but it wasn't efficient with Gem. And do you know what? This is perfect feedback. So just a little bit clarification here. So there's a business here that's using gems. So these are like Gemini gems, vanilla agents, if you like, to help with management use cases. So there's two pieces to this. Gems is now shareable. So if you did make a good gem, you can share it with the business now. But the second part here is what we're getting feedback from businesses is that Gemini can't integrate with their project management service or their internal wiki system. And so actually that really doesn't help because, again, like you say, it doesn't allow you to upload all of your knowledge base into a single gem. It just doesn't fit. And so actually that's where this is exactly that product to bridge that gap. So when you've exhausted gems, if you like, and you've actually come to the point where you need a gem that has access to all your business's knowledge, that's when you start looking at Agentspace for sure. So actually the perfect example of where you'd go from Gemini gems into Agentspace for sure. So that's a really good example. These are good questions, by the way, or statements. Good. We're a little bit over time, so I'm going to close things up unless anyone has any last things to say or ask. Thank you so much for your attendance on this Wednesday morning. Yeah, thank you very much from Devoteam, and thank you very much, Google, for joining us today as well. So Nicola. This will be recorded and you'll be able to find it on our YouTube channel as well. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.